The dumbest things rich people spend their money on. I'm the kind of guy who likes to mind my business. Honestly, I don't care what anybody does with their money. Your money, your choice. But every now and then, I come across something that makes me stop and think, wait, what? Like, there are billionaires out here dropping millions on things so ridiculous, so out of touch with reality. It feels like something out of a movie. And it makes me wonder, how can someone spend $15 million on a phone or $2 million on a dog collar, while so many people are struggling to pay rent, buy groceries, or cover medical bills? That's the part that really gets to me. It's not just the spending, it's the stark contrast between their world and ours. So today, I want to share 10 of the dumbest, most outrageous ways billionaires spend their money. And trust me, some of these will leave you absolutely speechless. Because when you see how absurd some of these purchases are, you'll start to understand just how big the gap is between us and them. So let's dive in. This is Flourish in Wealth, where financial freedom begins. First up, let's talk about a Chinese billionaire who spent $15 million on a single iPhone. Not a phone plan, not a limited edition series, just one phone. But here's the kicker. It's covered in diamonds, and it has a 26-karat black diamond as the home button. Now think about this. Most people can't even afford the latest iPhone, let alone repair a cracked screen. Meanwhile, this guy's walking around with a phone that costs more than an entire block of houses. It's not just about the price, it's the mindset. What makes someone think, you know what this phone needs? More diamonds. It's a level of extravagance that's so far removed from reality, it feels almost fictional. And while this guy's flaunting his luxury gadget, someone else is deciding whether to pay for groceries or gas this week. Next on my list, Prince Hans Adam of Liechtenstein spent $36 million on a piece of furniture. Yes, a piece of furniture. The $36 million badminton cabinet, an exquisite 18th century chest, was purchased at a Christie's auction. Now, let's break this down. $36 million isn't just a number, it's life-changing money. It's enough to fund schools, build hospitals, or even help thousands of families escape poverty. But instead it was spent on a single piece of historical craftsmanship. Think about what that says about priorities. For most people, $36 million is a fantasy. Money you'd use to completely transform your life. For some, it's just a way to add a rare treasure to their collection, and that's the disconnect. Before we move on, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, if you had $36 million, would you spend it on a piece of furniture or something else? Let me know what you would do with that kind of money and why. And if you're finding value in this video, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps the algorithm and it really supports the channel so I can keep bringing you more content like this. Let's get back to it. Let's move on to number 3. An Abu Dhabi businessman spent $14.3 million on a single license plate. Not the car, just the plate. In the UAE, having a low number plate is a status symbol, and apparently this guy wanted to flex harder than anyone else. Now, let's think about this. A license plate doesn't make your car run faster. It doesn't make it more reliable. It's literally just a number bolted onto your vehicle. Meanwhile, people are out here trying to scrape together enough money to buy a car that even runs. This isn't just about the money, it's about what it represents. It's a reminder that for some people, wealth isn't about solving problems or helping others. It's about showing off. And that's hard to swallow when you're struggling to pay rent. Next up, number 4. A Russian billionaire spent $2 million on a dog collar. Yes, you heard that right. A collar for his dog. This thing is made of crocodile leather and covered with 1,600 diamonds. Now don't get me wrong, I love pets as much as anyone. But $2 million? That's enough to build animal shelters, provide free vet care for thousands of animals, or even feed entire communities. The craziest part? The dog probably doesn't even know the difference. While this billionaire's Maltese is walking around with more bling than a jewelry store, someone else is sitting in their car, crying, because they can't afford to take their sick pet to the vet. It's heartbreaking and infuriating at the same time. Number 5. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, spent a staggering $42 million building a clock inside a mountain. This clock is designed to run for 10,000 years. Now, I'll admit that it's a cool concept, but $42 million, that's a number so big, it's hard to wrap your head around. Think about this. While Bezos is building a clock no one can see, there are people running out of time, literally, because they can't afford life-saving medical care or a decent place to live. It's the ultimate symbol of privilege. When you have so much money, you can afford to think about the next 10,000 years, while most of us are just trying to survive the next 10 days. It's a stark reminder of the vast disparities between the ultra-wealthy and the rest of us. Imagine the lives that could be changed with $42 million. Imagine the impact on healthcare, education, or housing. But instead, it's invested in a monument to time, a luxury only the richest can afford to contemplate. It makes you wonder, what would you do with that kind of money? Moving on to number 6. Let's talk about 2 jaw-dropping fashion purchases. First, an Indian businessman spent $250,000 on a shirt made entirely of gold. Imagine walking around in that thing. It's not comfortable, it's not practical, and let's be honest, it probably doesn't look that great either. It's just heavy and flashy. Then we have a Russian billionaire who spent $2 million on a Victoria's Secret fantasy bra for his wife. This bra is covered in diamonds and precious stones. But here's the catch. It's so delicate it can barely be worn without risking damage. Now think about this. While these people are throwing down millions on clothes that serve no real purpose, there are families out there who are struggling to buy basic necessities like warm winter coats or school uniforms for their kids. It's hard to wrap your head around the priorities here. Alright, let's move on to the next item on my list. 7. Roman Abramovich, a Russian billionaire, owns a $500 million yacht. Let me paint a picture for you. This yacht isn't just a boat, it's a floating city. It has its own missile defense system, 2 helipads, a swimming pool, a gym, and even a submarine. To put that in perspective, $500 million could build affordable housing for thousands of people, but instead, it's being spent on something that's essentially a vacation home on water. And here's the kicker, yachts aren't even practical. They cost millions more just to maintain every year. While this guy is cruising the seas in luxury, millions of families are struggling to afford basic transportation or even a roof over their heads. It's a staggering level of excess. Imagine the lives that could be improved, the communities that could be uplifted with that kind of money. Yet it's all poured into a vessel of leisure and opulence. It's a stark reminder of how wealth can create bubbles of extravagance, isolating the ultra-rich from the everyday struggles of the majority. What would you do with $500 million? How many lives could you change? Think about it. 8. Richard Branson, the British entrepreneur, spent around $200 million to purchase Necker Island in the Caribbean. This tropical paradise includes a mansion, luxury villas, and private beaches, and is often used as a retreat for celebrities and the ultra-wealthy. While Branson is living it up on his private island, $200 million could fund hundreds of education programs, create sustainable housing projects, or help address climate change. The idea of owning an island seems like something out of a movie, but it's also a perfect example of how excess wealth can be spent in ways that don't help anyone but the rich. For the rest of us, it's hard to fathom how a single individual can buy a private island when so many people around the world don't even have a permanent place to call home. Coming in at number 9, let's talk about art. In 2017, an anonymous buyer shelled out $70 million for a painting by the artist Jean-Michel Basquiat titled Untitled. The painting features a chaotic mix of colors and lines, and it sold for more than the cost of many public schools combined. For $70 million, you could build an entire museum, fund arts programs in schools, or invest in future artists. But instead, this art piece is locked away in a private collection, where only a select few will ever see it. While the rich are paying millions for a single painting, artists and cultural institutions around the world are struggling to secure funding. This isn't just about art. It's about the allocation of resources in a world where creativity and culture are often sidelined for the sake of exclusivity and wealth. Imagine the impact that $70 million could have if it were invested in communities, in education, or in public art. Instead, it's a symbol of how wealth can isolate and distance the rich from the realities faced by the rest of the world. This purchase serves as a stark reminder of the disparities in our society, where the value of art is measured not by its cultural significance, but by the price tag it can command. Number 10. Let's talk about the ultimate symbol of wealth, private jets. The Sultan of Brunei reportedly owns one of the most expensive private jets in the world, valued at around $1 billion. This jet features a full luxury suite, a dining room, and even a private bathroom made entirely of 24-karat gold. It's almost hard to fathom how much $1 billion is. That's enough to change entire economies, build infrastructure, or provide housing for entire cities. Instead, it's spent on a jet that flies a few thousand feet above the rest of us, where the luxury of excess knows no bounds. While billionaires are flying in their multi-million-dollar jets, millions of people are struggling to afford a flight ticket, or worse, don't even have access to basic transportation. This kind of spending shows just how far removed some people are from the everyday realities of others. Look guys, the point of this video isn't to shame rich people. It's to remind us of the value of money. Whether you have $10 or $10 million, what matters is how you use it. Hey, if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, make sure to check out my other video here for more money tips and ways to make the best use of your finances. You won't want to miss it.